Okay, time will start. Okay, time will start now. Judge, we define social media as a form of electronic communication through which users create online communities to share information, ideas, personal messages, and other content. Under this definition, my partner and I affirm the resolution that social media has been more beneficial to youth. Our arguments go as follows. Social media can help us become healthier and prevent suicide. Kids can use social media to study, and social media helps boost self-esteem. Argument 1 is social media can help us be healthier and prevent suicide. Kids on average miss approximately 20 days of the school year out of the 180 days in the school year. This is missing approximately 12% of the school year. But thanks to the help of social media, researchers have started developing ways to make sure you have the least chance of becoming sick. Researchers at the University of Rochester decided to use posts on Twitter to predict when and where people will become sick. The team analyzed many tweets with geolocation data to track the spread of infectious diseases. Using the information from tweets with the location, researchers can predict when and where people will get sick up to 8 days before they exhibit any symptoms with a remarkable 90% accuracy. Also, researchers use less time to predict these things and are able to save time for the public to become more aware of the virus. Also, in places like Japan, researchers used the social media network called Mixi and was actually able to come up with a formula to determine which users were more likely to be suicidal. But being able to use this technology can help youth be able to go to school and not miss any days. Not missing school is essential for your future, Forbes says. They say, because of kids missing sick days, it is harder for them to get employed. Young employees face long-term unemployment with a historic peak at 13%. Also, children missing school for sick days are more likely to earn lower wages. Also, a study done by the Arizona State University tracked thousands of students from kindergarten through high school, and they found that dropout patterns were linked to poor attendance. Argument 2 is kids use social media to help them study. Look at us from Capital Debate. We are just a few of the many that use social media to our advantage in education. Social media has helped kids to study in many different ways, like using Facebook pages, Twitter blogs, and etc. Countless studies have been showing using this type of studying has been proving to impact students' grades in a positive way. Also, these types of social media platforms allow students to learn what the homework was for the day if they were not in school and to not get caught behind. Not getting caught behind is crucial. A study by the London College stated that with every day missed from school, that reduces the chance of employment and higher wages later on. So being able to be caught up with the rest of the class and the positive impacts it has on grades can only prove that social media is helping students get on the right path to a good college and a job in the future. Argument 3 is social media boosts self-esteem and keeps relationships. Researchers from Cornell University conducted a study that says that going to Facebook provides a quick boost in self-esteem. Students were left in a room and some were given computers and their to check their Facebook pages, and others were given nothing. A few minutes later, each student was given a test, and students who checked Facebook had a significantly higher self-esteem. About 20% of teens said that it made themselves feel better about themselves, while only 4% said it made them feel worse. Boosting self-esteem is very important because if they didn't have a good self-esteem, people would always be afraid to do anything and would not be able to make their own decisions. Also, teens are able to improve relationships. Approximately 52% of teens said that social media helped their relationship, while only 3% said it hurt their friendship. And also, 88% of teens say that they get to know other students at their school better. In conclusion, to sum up my arguments, social media has been more beneficial to youth because social media helps students stay healthy and go to school and not miss school. Students use social media to study and boost their grades, and it boosts their self-esteem and maintains friendships. And for these reasons, I strongly urge a pro ballot.
All right, cross. How long is it?
2 minutes.
Alright, ready?
Yep.
Set, go. Okay, so your first and second contention is basically saying that if students miss school because of sick days, then their GPA will go down, or like their
No, my second one is it helps kids to use social media helps kids to study.
Oh, so then what was your first contention?
It helps them go basically. So social media can help us become healthier because researchers can pinpoint a location of where a virus will come in 8 days in advance.
All right, thank you. So you mentioned numerous studies saying that social media helps education. Could you provide the results of these studies, so like the percentages? Oh, also the author and research center would also be great.
For my second, Okay, so you want where it came from?
Yes, and also
Okay.
the percentage.
London College, and which percentage do you want?
The percentage that says it helps their grades and stuff.
The grades. Okay, so the studies were from London College and where is it?
All right, you can show it to me after the class.
Okay.
Also, you said that it boosts self-esteem, but how could it boost self-esteem if social media is used for cyberbullying?
Okay, so basically now there are many sites, or Facebook has started to cut down on cyberbullying by basically sometimes kicking out users if they are cyberbullying.
But if it was that easy just to kick out users, why would cyberbullying still occur?
It occurs less now because they have started to.
Do you have grades for this?
Sorry?
Do you have a source that says it occurs less now?
No, but Facebook has started to kick out users that have
But there
been
are other
harmful.
social media platforms. Do you have something?
Other social media platforms. Facebook owns Instagram, and other social media platforms have been doing this.
Should be constructive now, right?
Yeah.
Cool. My speech will start in 5 seconds if everybody's ready. My speech will start now. My partner and I firmly negate the resolution that, on balance, social media has done more good than harm to minors. The resolution implies that the effects of social media should be weighed in the past or present, as it says how. Futuristic and hypothetical situations should be avoided. If the con side can prove more lives are being impacted, then the con side wins. Contention 1. Social media causes teens to be depressed. According to the University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine, social media has a direct relationship with depression. The more time young adults spend on social media, they say, the more likely they are to be depressed. Compared against users and viewers viewed social media less frequently, participants that use social media very frequently have 2.7 times the likelihood of depression. And compared to those that spent less time, participants that spent the most total time on social media throughout the day had 1.7 times the risk of depression. Another study by the National Institute of Health concluded social media is significantly associated with depression. One of the main reasons teens feel depressed is because of bullying. According to the Huffington Post, in a study by the Journal of the American Medical Association, in which 10 studies examined the link between social media victimization and depression, and all of them found a connection, cyberbullying is linked directly to depression. More than 1 in 3 people have been threatened online, and over 25% of people have been bullied repeatedly through cell phones and the internet, says guardchild.com. According to a recent study, 58% of 4th through 8th graders reported having mean or cruel things said to them online, and 53% said they had mean or hurtful things said to others while online. 42% of those studied said that they had been bullied online. The National Institute of Health finds depression is directly correlated to bullying, with adults in depression clinics citing childhood bullying. Depression has seriously negative consequences on teens. According to Peter M. Lewison, PhD from the Oregon Research Institute, 3/4 of teens depressed experience further psychiatric disorder. By the age of 24, half of them had faced a major episode of depression, with by age 25, more than half are experiencing drug and alcohol problems. 7% of those teens made a suicide attempt. Contention 2. Social media decreases efficiency and hurts education for teens. The research by the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology found that the maths performance of those who access social networks on a daily basis was 20 points lower than the students who never went online to chat. Besides their math grade, 31% of teens admitted that social media reduces the quality of their work in a survey by Common Sense Media. Users of social media also had an average of GPA of 3.06, while those that didn't use social media had an average GPA of 3.86. According to the American Journal of Family Therapy, after 30 minutes of screen time a day, grades began to steadily decline. After 4 hours a day, the average GPA of students dropped an entire grade. But the better a student's work ethic, the more likely they are to continue education. The National Center for Educational Statistics.gov finds that the lack of educational levels are directly correlated with employment rates. The unemployment rates of those who without a high school diploma is almost twice as high as those who attend college but receive no degree. By directly impacting the GPA and working efficiency of teens through social media, we are hurting their future by decreasing their chance of employment. Contention 3. Social media releases too much information. Social media releases too much information, which can negatively impact a teen's future. A 2016 Kaplan test prep survey found that 35% of college admission officers checked in applicants' social media to learn information more about them, and 42% of these admission officers discovered information that had a negative impact on prospective students' admission chances. 40% of teens also report sexting, or the texting of sexually suggestive images. Teens can be charged for felony for distributing child pornography, even even if it is a picture of themselves. According to NBC News, even if these images are sent in a private social media chat, they always find their way to the public, often without the knowledge of the teen. Besides sexting, social media can also cause cheating. According to the Los Angeles Times, students posted questions of the SAT to social media. Students in California, New York, and Houston also posted questions of the SAT, allowing other students to find the answers ahead of time. Do we really want students to be cheating through social media? So because social media causes teens to be depressed, which I've correlated with a suicide attempt rate, and social media decreases efficiency and hurts education for teens with a 0.8 GPA difference, and finally that social media releases too much information and that can negatively impact a teen's future, Judge, I urge a negative ballot. Thank you.
Oh, this is like off time and all, but like, did you find the evidence that I asked you for during class X?
Should I give it to her?
Do you have it? Do you have it? Just give it to her.
I don't have it written down, but like I have it in like my Google Doc.
Oh, then no.
Yeah.
You just discuss it. And
It's cross-examination, just like.
Alright.
All right.
Okay.
You ready for cross?
I'm ready.
Me. Oh, okay.
Let me see.
Are you ready?
Are we ready for cross?
Actually, can I take like 30 seconds?
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, just email the statistics because that's like sign.
whereas we have a lot of social. I think it says helps you healthy. This is us. There's some science, there's some other subjects, the girls, such figures, and figures, problems from trends, there's all that stuff.
Right.
We decrease in education, and it brings the worst to the items like type and challenge, so many challenges to look
Exactly.
at.
Good.
All right. Ready? Point of view.
Okay. Is everyone ready?
I'm ready.
Is the judge ready?
Yep.
Okay. Time will start now. Okay, so in your first contention, you talk about depression, right?
Right.
So, why would there be more depression if you are connected with friends more and you are able to get support from them?
Because there's also people who take this chance to cyberbully.
Okay, but aren't there a lot of places where you can go where people are like you and they can be supportive of you, even if you're getting bullied?
If I'll provide you with a card later that says only 1% of teens actually like talk to others when they feel depressed. Instead, they have pent up feelings. Here, actually, I can read it to you right now. Only 1% of teenagers say telling a teacher would be their first response to online bullying or trolling.
Where was that from?
Peer research center.
Pew Research Center.
Okay. So you talk about how it hurts education and it hurts their grades.
Exactly.
But wouldn't maybe learning some more stuff online be more beneficial to their grade
But do teens actually go to social media to learn stuff online?
if they wanted to? Probably.
Okay, but do they?
Okay, that's my question. Also, when you talk about how it says too much info is given, or at the third contention.
Oh yeah, social media releases too much information.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So. Okay. Actually. Never mind. Okay.
Okay.
So. Back to teens being more depressed.
Okay.
So why does more time on social media cause more depression?
Because there's online bullying, cyberbullying.
Okay. So, just because you spend more time means you get.
Yeah, you spend more time on social media and then you get bullied more.
So would you get bullied every second that you're on
Well,
social
no,
media?
cyberbullying is like a key issue right here. Like, kids go on social media and they get bullied by those when they use social media. I can read cards for you later.
Okay. And you say like you give a bunch of numbers how over 25.
I'm sorry. You can finish your question if you want, I think.
Oh,
Right?
it's
Okay.
Call and refutation. Sorry, I'll take 30 seconds to prep.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, my bad.
It's okay. I restarted.
Okay, perfect. I'll let you know when you're at 30. And I'll start it now.
Okay.
Okay, so the first condition is a little weird. I've heard that before, but the second condition, third condition, should have some stuff.
Yeah. Like,
So
I can just download it.
okay, and do you probably ask?
Yeah.
Cool. You know what to say up good.
Alright.
I'm just reading about this.
You good?
Yep.
That was 23 seconds. 20.
Okay. Ready?
Oh, good.
Oh, you should round up.
It was like 4-8, so.
Partner ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Opponents ready?
Yes.
Yep.
Judge ready?
Yep.
Okay, time starts. I'd like to start out by addressing my opponent's first contention, which was that social media helps track diseases and it helps, get students, it helps see where students are usually taking sick days. However, since the topic is that the pros of social media should be outweigh the harms, and we're refuting that, their first contention can be outweighed by a lot of things. First off, the amount of suicides that occur from cyberbullying. Because no amount of sick days or money or anything can bring back lives, because lives are sacred and they're one of the most important things in the world, because nothing can ever bring them back. In addition, there are other risks, as my opponents mentioned, such as sexting, exposing risky information, and depression. And in addition, there's a decrease in education quality, which I'll be talking about when addressing my opponent's second contention. And it also brings awareness to bad things, like the Tide Pods Challenge, which recently was a great, an epidemic that started through social media, and the AAPC, or the American Association of Poison Control Centers, has put out a warning after receiving high volumes of calls since the beginning of 2018, and they've already had 40 cases of someone eating a Tide Pod and ingesting a Tide Pod. There are also things like the Cinnamon Challenge, in which a little 4-year-old boy died, and there are also other things like Logan Paul, which was basically him making fun of suicides. All of these negative things of social media greatly outweighs my opponent's first contention. Moving on to their second contention about how it helps education, not only have they failed to provide an actual statistic that says that, education increases by this much percentage, they've also provided only one example from one study, whereas we have overall statistics. A statistic states that 160,000 students skip school every day because they're afraid of their own cyberbullies. And in addition, 31% of teens state that using social media during homework reduces their quality of the work. And students who use social media have an average GPA of 3.06, while non-users have an average GPA of 3.82. And college students' grades dropped 0.12% for every 93 minutes of average 106 minutes on Facebook per day. Therefore, education clearly isn't benefited by social media. Moving on to their third contention about boosting self-esteem. However, 1 million teens were harassed, threatened, or subjected to other forms of social media during Facebook in 2011, and this rate has grown exponentially because of Twitter, Snapchat, YouTube, and all of these other new social media platforms. Therefore, they can't possibly be happy because they're being cyberbullied. And more than half of adolescents or teens have been bullied online, and about that same amount have been engaged in cyberbullying. Therefore, I urge a con ballot.
This cross-examination.
Oh, right.
Okay. Is my partner ready? Are my opponents ready? Is my judge ready?
Yep.
All right, my time will start now. So you talk about things such as the Tide Pods challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you think we've still seen that challenge right now?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
No,
Do you want me to provide evidence?
yeah, fine.
Okay, so the AAPC has put so in the first 2 weeks of 2018, they've already gotten 39 cases of intentional
All right,
exposures.
thank you. Now, what do you think actually stopped the Tide Pods challenge? Like, how do you think parents got to know about this?
News.
Okay. What else besides news? Like what was
Their
something?
children saying that.
No, actually, I think it's social media. Now, moving on, you state that that there's depression during social media, but how does this actually happen if you're being connected with friends? And as far as I can tell, your response is that cyberbullying happens everywhere. You're just gonna get it. But do you think cyberbullying happens all the time?
It happens to over half of teens, and in addition to that, 31% of teens who use social media have fought with a friend because of something that
All right,
happened
thank you.
online.
That's it. Now is social media, the sites and the apps actually at fault here?
Yes.
Why?
Because
Aren't to cyberbullies only spreading the information, and social media is just there to be in for the information to be in some type of form?
I'd like to answer your question in that social media provides an opportunity for all of this negative stuff to happen.
No, actually, there was a court case where a teen pressured her boyfriend into committing suicide, and so during the court case, there was a huge debate on whether Facebook was actually at fault, and the court actually said no, Facebook was not at fault. What's your response?
My response to this is that even if a court decides it, it's still the fault of the social media for providing the opportunity to be cyberbullying and have cyberbullying.
All right. Can I take 30 seconds of prep time? All right.
Yep.
All right, my time will start.
Okay.
So you go there.
So just be sure to go to all.
Wait, let me see. Their third contention. Self-esteem.
Okay.
This is pro attack speech. So, is my partner ready?
Yes.
Are my opponents ready?
Yep.
Is my judge ready?
Yep.
All right, my time will start now. I would like to use this attack speech to effectively attack my opponent's argument. So their first argument was depression, and I have one response to this, which is the fact that my opponents have frequently exaggerated cyberbullying and stated that it happens everywhere, and that no matter what, even when you're with friends, you'll always just see cyberbullying. But that is not the case. Cyberbullying doesn't happen everywhere, and as we've stated, the rates have decreased. And also, simply, how does depression happen with cyberbullying? No, it happened with social media. If you're with friends a lot of the time and you're communicating to others. As far as I know, I often speak with my grandparents on FaceTime a lot, mostly every week. And so without having social media, I actually feel more depressed because I have no one to talk to and no one to communicate with. In terms of my opponent's other two contentions for studying and also cyberbullying, they've stated their two contentions can easily be taken down with the simple fact that social media is not at fault here. And now for the studying, it depends on what they're using social media for. Sure, even if the grades will go down, colleges often have study groups for social media, and often high schools use Facebook to show notifications and other things in school to help with education. Look at us, even Capital Debate, we do the same thing. We do FaceTime, we do Gmail, we do all these types of social media to help get notifications and to learn more. Now, in terms of cyberbullying, I've already stated that the social media sites are not at fault, and it's the people who cyberbully. Why don't you catch them? Stop whining and blaming that social media is at fault when rather I've even stated with a court case that a girl tried to pressure her boyfriend into committing suicide through Facebook, and the court decided that Facebook was not at fault and it was the girl's fault. So that's literally, so in my response, I have to say that social media sites are not at fault. It's the people who do it. In fact, with cyberbullying, you have a great place. It's called the internet and social media. You can use those for support groups and to help yourself if you're cyberbullied. So at the end of the day, I think my opponent's arguments can easily be taken down, and so in response also to their deaths, the rates have gone down. So for all these reasons, I think I urge a pro ballot.
Okay. Cross.
Wait, one second.
Oh. Right. So it's feeling pro.
Wait, should it be me? I'd be crossing you, right?
Yeah, it is.
Cool. Could we take 20 seconds of prep, please?
How much?
20 seconds?
Yeah.
If it goes over this, yeah.
Alright.
Okay.
Yeah, that's basically it, right?
Alright, that was 15.
Alright, you used 14 seconds. And you used 39 so far.
Sweet. Quick math.
That was 30 seconds.
Okay, so if everybody's ready, my cross-ex will start now. Right, so you said that like we're exaggerating like cyberbullying and it doesn't happen like everywhere, right?
Yeah, as far as I've heard, you stated that no matter what, even with your friends and stuff, there's always going to be someone to cyberbully you.
Right, okay. Actually, move on. I have another question for you. So, with social, like, if your friends aren't aware of like the issue you're having or like you're facing depression, do you think they'd be able to help you?
Well, that's why we have social media. You can effectively communicate with your friends and share your fears and things that's going on with you. We have support groups on social media who help with this type of
Okay,
problem.
thanks. That answers my question. Yeah, okay. So, wait. Okay. Then you said with like study groups and like how like helps with education. Like, what is your like definition? Like, how do they help each other?
Well, because like schools often put like notifications stuff to help with your schoolwork. You can ask questions to teachers, and then often kids will put like study group to help with like homework or whatnot, and all these things. Like even Captain
Okay, cool.
Debate.
Do you have like
Gmail,
do you have any like sorry, thanks. That answers my question. Do you have like any sources that said like these like the majority of people gather for study groups and use social media for education?
Well, I don't have exact sources, but I can.
So no exact evidence.
It still happens.
Okay, well, okay, that answers my question. Thanks. Right. So you also said that cyberbullying social media has been decreasing cyberbullying. Can you explain like how social media has been decreasing
Well, because
cyberbullying?
as far as I can tell, your sources like say from things like 2011 and stuff.
But do you have
those
any
sources have gone down? And as far as I can tell, there are no evidence in stuff like the news and stuff. Like, why would this not be publicized? Like, I don't understand that.
but-
So as far as I can tell, rates are actually going down. We hear less and less about cyberbullying stories.
Okay, just like please provide like we asked you like before in a previous cross-ex like evidence that like grades have dropped and like okay, cool, thanks.
Current events. Without the social media, this wouldn't happen. Wait. Also mention friends. I don't say that they've never once provided evidence, and therefore they haven't provided evidence that evidence is clearly there.
Okay.
Even if it's virtually
Are my opponents ready?
Yep.
Is my partner ready?
Yeah.
Is the judge ready?
Yeah.
Okay, time will start now. Okay, so they basically start out by attacking our first contention and saying that the amount of suicides outweigh helping a number of people stay healthy. But also, I'd just like to say the amount of suicides due to cyberbullying has started to decrease, and most of the studies are from like 2011, and right now in like 2017, 2018, we've seen these rates start to go down. Also, they talk about the Tide Pod Challenge. The only way this has started to decrease and how people have started to learn more about how you should not do this has been due to the fact that social media has been publicizing this and been saying that this is not a good idea, you should not do this. And also, with education, they say that we do not help education. But with social media, like my partner has stated, support groups and maybe schools start posting notifications on what they will do today and what you should do for tomorrow. And this is eventually going to help your education because you will know what's going on. And also, when they keep saying like cyberbullying should be blamed on social media, but it's not. It's the kid's choice. And also, even if it wasn't the kid's choice, then there are many different places that people can go that are like people are similar and they can get support from each other. And also, I'd just like to say, for their depression argument, I'd probably feel more depressed without social media because more than half of my family's in South Korea, and I can't really access to them without social media. And I'm able to FaceTime them, and I'm able to talk to them, and I'm actually able to communicate with my dad who's in South Korea. So without social media, I'd actually feel more depressed. And for all these reasons, I urge a pro ballot.
Yeah, I'll take 30 seconds for now, and if I need more, I will inform you. Okay.
Alright. Starting now.
Okay, so, right, so we win our framework because they haven't provided any other framework, so basically, if we can outweigh their arguments, then we win.
Yeah, also, we're saying that more people are affected, so therefore they go down. So they haven't provided any for cyberbullying code, and in addition to that, it's the social media that provides them an opportunity to get out there before that.
Right. Okay, and then,
Oh, if you please read this to this. If you
30.
okay, cool. Could we take just a little bit more, please?
I'm just gonna run it.
Yeah, run it, yeah.
Alright.
So we want to say,
read their
so like A 2016 to
use.
use, okay.
Alright, we're done.
Alright, it was 40. Math is hard. 19, you used a minute 19.
Okay, cool.
17.
What?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
I swear my math made sense.
Don't doubt Kevin's
No,
stuff.
no, no. This is right.
Alright.
You all wrong. Okay, so I will start my defense speech by talking about or going over my contentions and their attacks on it. My speech begins now. So we win our framework because they haven't provided any other framework, and I'd like to remind you that our framework was that if we can outweigh that the harms have been harms over good, and that like hypothetical solutions can't be weighed in this debate, that we win. And so basically, they start off by saying that like people can contact, like one of the major classes of the debate was cyberbullying, and they said that you can contact your friends to get relief for cyberbullying. But as I like to point out, that actually so overuse on social media actually like hurts relationships. As I said, a 2016 study found that overuse of social media as an adolescent may decrease success in relationships later in life, as online communication hinders the development of conflict management skills and awareness of impersonal cues. One study found that more Facebook friends a person has, the more stressful Facebook is to use. So if you're like actually causing stress, this goes for our point because you're actually like the more stress you have, the more depressed you're gonna be getting. So social media actually hurts relationships. Besides that, cyberbullying is going on. They haven't provided anything to resolve this, but because social media has been creating all of these issues, we should just get rid of social media because it'd just be a lot simpler than to try to patch it up. Next, that they said studies from cyberbullying are from 2011 or so, and we're declining. However, when we asked them for specific evidence, they didn't have any specific evidence for how much it's declining. It could be as little as 0.0001%, which is like a significant, it's absolutely insignificant. So you can refute this attack. Next, they also said that that grades will actually increase because of social media, because they're forming study groups and such, but they gave no specific evidence for increasing grades. And as I like to point you, since since we're the only one with evidence on grades on this table, that our evidence for grades is the only one. If we take a machine gun analogy, if a person, a bully is with a machine gun, which is social media, by taking away the machine gun, we are able to prevent him from harming other people. So because we went on this framework and that we're impacting lives, I urge a
Alright, we'll
con ballot.
start time 1 minute 30 seconds.
I hate how they just use 2 minutes for the end.
Should be 2 minutes. 2 minutes. So I'm gonna do an outweigh rate, and we'll do your job to make that way everything.
So,
I forgot to mention that they release contract their contention.
alright, I'll mention that. We're gonna make the most important one.
Yeah, we wanted the education point.
What was it?
Social media releases too much information.
Right.
Yeah, that stuff. So just basically impact method of protection, they can encourage cheating, arrests on felony charges,
Yeah, right.
stuff like that.
All
Okay.
day.
And right, since they didn't provide any specific defendants, we say we went on this point because we're the only one that's on the table. And then say our first contention stands because
Because some
saying that,
people still have.
they're saying logically you're going to reach out with other people, but with evidence that's like the kids don't reach out to other people, and they get even more interested.
My son ready?
Cool.
Is my partner ready?
Yep.
Are my opponents ready?
Wait 1 second. Alright, yeah.
Is my judge ready?
Yep.
Alright, my time will start now. Alright, listen up, Judge. This is a phone. You know what I use this for, and you know what my partner also uses his device for? We use it to communicate with our grandparents who live outside of this country. And that is simply the beauty of social media. Long distance communication. The fact that you can just talk to anyone and you feel happy. And as my opponents keep saying that social media makes you feel depressed. But really it doesn't. Social media makes you feel more happy because you have people to talk to and you have stuff to do. And at the end of the day, you feel really happy because you can talk to others and discourse with others. And it helps you study more. In fact, I'm just going to say this right now. If they win this debate, you can thank social media because they use social media to discuss and find arguments and help themselves. And also, they literally go off their resolution. And I heard them talk about banning social media. That's actually not part of the resolution. And so at the end of the day, I think we've won this debate because we've effectively provided that the benefits of social media have outweighed the harms. Without social media, we would not be here. In fact, our studies are more recent to prove this in fact. At the end of the day, without social media, we wouldn't be here debating right now. Without social media, we would not be talking to our grandparents and we would not be talking to friends and discussing with others. At the end of the day, social media matters and it has come to our world for now, in the past, and in the future. So at the end of the day, Judge, I think you should vote a pro ballot because you care about social media, you care about long distance communication, and you care about helping others, and you care about talking to others and just feeling happy. You should not feel depressed by having friends and talking to others just with the little threat of cyberbullying. So at the end of the day, Judge, I think you should vote a pro ballot if you really care about your life.
Oh wow.
That sounds like a nice plan.
Anything works. Anything works, all right?
It's okay, Jato. Alright. We'll just take the rest of our prep time.
I don't know how to respond.
Kevin, can I get turn them on?
So are we talking about like the sexting or scheme?
Yeah, so like just mainly focus on cheating because we're talking about mainly education. Even from the impacts for our side because we don't provide any like studies, no specific needs. Right, and then it's just to see
So for education, I'm just going to say decrease.
right.
These people are really nice. I don't care about you. I won't say that. I'll be like this. I'll be like
Wait. Wait, no, just like, yeah.
yeah. I won't say that.
That would be really
I'm not that. Alright.
because I care about my girlfriends.
No, I do too, because I do that too. Alright, I'm done. Ready? So, partner ready?
I'm ready.
Opponents ready?
Yes.
Judge ready?
Yep.
Alright, and my time starts now. Judge, I'd first like to clarify something about my evidence. The only statistic I read from 2011 was that 1 million teens were being harassed, and this number has only increased because of the increase of social media. But the rest of my statistics were from 2016, and these statistics are obviously more recent than my opponents. They didn't really provide statistics, so, they're still more recent. In addition, I'd like to touch back on our framework, which is saying that there should be no hypothetical situations, and in addition, if we prove that there are more lives being impacted on the con side, we should win this round. And we should win this round because we've proven that First off, they've only used hypothetical situations in their case, and second off, more lives are being impacted on the con side. My first thing I want to address is that is that cyberbullying still happens today, and whether it's one teen, 1,000 teens, or 1,000,000 teens, someone is going home and someone is being depressed and someone is being harassed because of things they can't even control. And that outweighs any impact my opponent has provided, whether it's from being in a debate class to researching for something. The fact that a student is being depressed and harassed and they are suffering through all of these horrible, horrible things, that is what is truly most important here at the end of the day. In addition, they didn't touch on our third contention, which is that social media can lead to sexting and posting risky information online. And therefore, we win that argument. And not only is that really important because this can greatly impact that student's future, it's one of the most important topics in the round. And then moving on to education. We've successfully proved that there will be a decrease in education. And this also is greater than any of the impacts my opponents have provided. We get education by confidence, and also education affects how if you'll get into college, if you get a good job, and everyone should have their basic right to do whatever they want. And for these reasons, I urge a con ballot.
That was fun to do.
Yeah.